interruption, but we are back with Father Romain Rurangirwa and Moira. Romain, you were talking about St. Maximilian Kolbe.
I was, because St. Maximilian Kolbe is, first of all, a saint in the media. Second, he started newspaper and radio back when he thought that Europe needed to be evangelized, of course. We all know, that the World War II broke out, and it was short evangelization time because he was taken to prison camp. But what did he say? He's the saint also of this difficult age. He's called the saint of this difficult age. What did he say when people asked him, what's the solution to this this problem we have in our culture in Europe? He said the solution was education and consecration. So consecrating ourselves to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, having our houses enthroned to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, being educated, like Father's talking about, education and consecration. Those are the two pillars to help protect the families.
And you talked about hope, and I'm thinking about all of the problems that are going on. Abortion is the lack of hope. I have no hope that I can raise this child either alone or afford this child. I have no hope that I can afford this child. Suicide. I have no hope that my life will get better. Deciding to euthanasia, I have no hope that this person will be able to have a better life. Encouraging today is the birthday, by the way, as we're recording this, of Rick Santorum's daughter Bella, and they were telling her that you should let this child die because she will have no hope. And over again, drugs is, because it's hopeless to get away. It's hopeless, and that's really that's really the message of the devil, to try and take away hope. Exactly. Because if you have no hope, then why bother going to confession? Why bother going to Mass? Why bother doing anything?
Why bother living longer? I mean, that's really critical. You got it. You nailed it.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. His job is to lie to us. So he lies to you that you have no hope unless you run to that. And his job is to destroy and steal all type of hope and joy. Mm-hmm. And that's where those who are not consecrating themselves and in trust of the Jesus Christ and the Sacred Heart and the sacraments are running into that hopelessness.
Now, you mentioned in our last segment, which ended abruptly, and I do apologize because my camera just decided to shut itself off, a person who had invited you to a place and said there was something wrong. Mm-hmm. If a person senses there's something wrong in their house, mm-hmm. something that's not right, something that, like this room that people can sense, there's something wrong here. Mm-hmm. And I never forget when my wife and I were first shopping for a house, we looked at this house, and I walked into this room in this house. I instantly felt something was wrong. I said, we can't buy this house. Mm-hmm. There's something bad here. Yeah. And we just didn't do it. What should a person do if something like that happens?
Well, obviously don't buy it. But when you do buy a house, if that's when you settle on or you do move in somewhere, you always want to have your car blessed, your house blessed, and go to the trouble of even having it enthroned.
And now I have no idea what you mean by enthroned.
The enthronement to the Sacred Heart. We are a church of blessings. The New Age is a church of cursing. Quite honestly, that's the difference. Father will explain to you a movement of cursing with the para-religions in it, which do have a lot of paganism and Gnosticism, and many of the things they're doing in the initiations are cursing. But Father will explain to you the enthronement of the Sacred Heart.
Okay, what is the enthronement of the Sacred Heart?
If you look at this image, it is the image of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Sacred Heart of Mary. And when we entrust ourselves into the Sacred Heart of Jesus and to the Sacred Heart of Mary, Immaculate Heart of Mary, and we make sure our family and our household has a seat of that Sacred Heart of Jesus and Immaculate Heart of Mary, we are having those protections. The Church has created us sacraments and sacramentals. Sacramentals are the signs that point us to the grace and that help us protect ourselves. Mm-hmm. That is why every Catholic should have in their home blessed water blessed salt to sprinkle sometimes when you feel like that's something wrong.
You know, it's funny you should mention that, because my son had said something similar about a room. And I had blessed salt in the room, and I went into the room, I spread the blessed salt, I sang the prayer of St. Michael. And I said the St. Michael's chaplet, because he had that feeling.
The other important thing Catholics should have in their homes is a crucifix of Jesus Christ. And when we do have those and we continue to have our prayers, then we know that our house is the house of the Lord. It's not all just us alone. Remember, the gospel I can give you, I can share with you, it's the wedding in Cana. At the wedding in Cana, the bride and the groom had invited Jesus and his mother at their wedding. When their wedding was going on, something went wrong.
This is John chapter 2, by the way.
John chapter 2, verses 2 to 8. And the Blessed Mother, the mother of Jesus, is the one who noticed it first. And she went to her son and tried to save them from embarrassment. She said, they have no wine. And everything went well because she noticed that and acted immediately. So every family, if they make sure they invited Jesus and his mother in their household, she will make sure she knows what's going on, and if there is something they need protection from, she will run to her son and say, they have no peace, they have no joy, they have no children, they have no money. Everything can be taken care of when we make sure we allow them, Jesus and his mother, to take care of us.
And this is something that has existed. And for people who think that, again, we were talking about the lack of hope, you know, St. Louis de Montfort, there was a time of problems with faith. St. Dominic, a time where there was a problem of faith. The patron saint of priests, St. John Vianney, was evangelizing. And these were all in the past. And we think today that in the past everyone was all very devout. But in the past, there were plenty of problems, which is why all of these saints had to evangelize.
Exactly.
So, in a sense, even though we're having a tough time, it's not a time that's unusual, and it's a time where there is a solution.
Exactly. It always is. Exactly. There's always a solution, and the Lord raises up a saint to give us that solution, usually.
Now, the solution that came from you, we talked about your early life and all of these things, and now, of course, you've been doing this for many years. I don't know how... Do you run into any of your old friends who have not come over to Christianity, and do they avoid you like the plague at this point?
They don't recognize me, because when someone has had a conversion and goes through deliverance, and like the minor exorcism I've had, you usually look different. You sound different, you look different. I mean, maybe you don't sound exactly different, but if I'm at the store or something, they would have to do a double or triple take to see if it was me. Now, I recognized them because they look the same if they were still New Age. But quite honestly, if I'm recognizing them or if we're bumping into each other, it's because I'm supposed to give them my book. And I've given my book to many, many, many New Agers. Many of them have been ones that I knew from the past. Many of them have converted, and many of them haven't. Some of them haven't. The ones that haven't been baptized, it's harder for conversion. But like some of them are Jewish, but fallen away Jews. They were raised cultural Jew and cultural Jewish, and they are all taking the rosary. They love the rosary.
And it's all really persistence, isn't it? Because that's Christ always talks about persistence. He who persists will be saved. And
they don't want to say the prayer in the rosary that I'm a sinner, but they like to pray to Mary. And I don't even know if they know she's a goddess or not. But my prayer for them is, Our Lady, let them know that you're not a goddess. But they ask me for rosaries all the time. They ask me for pictures of Mary. They ask me for, I always have to make sure everything's blessed. And I give out a lot of Catholic care packages. A lot, all over. And
would it be a good idea to carry like holy water and be able to give it out to someone when the Spirit moves you?
It'd be a good idea to carry a bag of blessed miraculous medals and give them out to everyone you can. Give out blessed green scapulars. have books ready.
Now, the green scapula versus the brown scapula. Now, a lot of people, I'm wearing a brown scapula, for example, but a lot of people aren't familiar with the green scapula. Can you tell me about the green scapula?
Well, I don't know a lot about it except for it's the one they say for conversions. It's really helpful for that. But I do know that one of the top books that the New Agers really like is one called The Incorruptibles by 10 Books. They love that book, and I used to give out cases of it. I travel so much now that I don't see as many from the old days. But they love the rosaries and that book, and I'll tell you why. Because a lot of them follow gurus, and they're so fascinated when a guru has lived for 45 days. Like the biggest one they follow is the one that promoted an autobiography of a yogi, promoted the whole yoga industry in America. Actually was brought in 70 years ago and really promoted the yoga movement in America. And his book is like in 40 languages all over the world. He died in America, and he was incorrupt for something like 45 days. Wow, that's a big deal. Not really, not at all. To New Agers, that's a big deal. To Catholics, that's nothing. Our saints have lasted. We got saints lasted 200, 300, 400, 500 years. I mean, they're incorrupt for a long time. That is fascinating to them. Now, mind you, that's okay, fascination. But that fascination and having that book might just trigger something in their mind, like it did for me.
You get them in the door.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that. Always pictures of Mary, holy cards, Mother Teresa. They love Mother Teresa. Anything to do with Mother Teresa, you could give them. They love anything to do with her.
Now, one thing that I remember, I'm trying to remember who said the quote, and I believe it was a bishop out of Philadelphia. I cannot place the name. That the corrupt cannot tolerate. Evil demands tolerance until it has power. And then it has to destroy the good, because the good and the moral stand to indict it, as an indictment of it. And do you get a lot of pushback because of the ministry that you do, Father? Do you get a lot of resistance from the culture because of what you do and what you stand for?
I do, because there are people, for example, who, when they come to you and they tell you about their problems and you tell them what they have to do, they get afraid of probably the commitment, of probably leaving their ways and follow the new way of the sacraments. And there are those who feel like you are too much, you are too demanding, and what is that? Why are you exaggerating? I go to Mass, I receive the sacrament, I was baptized, and there's a lot of resistance, because again, everyone who wants to come out of that New Age life has to be aggressive, knowing what to do, and they have a commitment. And Jesus had showed us that it is picking up your cross and follow him. It cannot be easy. It was not easy for Moira. She said that it took her many months, and but when you believe and you know that it is through the power of Jesus Christ, it becomes easy. But for the beginning, there are a lot of resistance, there are a lot of fight, there are a lot of judgment also when you want to start.
And do you get that as well, Moira, where you'll get this pushback?
I still do today, but in the beginning it was very hard because I had no Catholic friends. I knew nobody. I didn't know any Catholic people. And so I knew Catholic people that were fallen-away Catholics or C&E, Christmas, Easter Catholics, cultural Catholics, but I didn't know any faith-filled people. So I did find that little lady on the street again a few years later, and I was so glad to meet her. And what did she do? She took me to Mother Teresa's convent. So I immediately got involved with the co-workers. All of a sudden, I could be on mission to Mexico, third world country, and start doing some missions and start feeling like I had some purpose, some help that I could help. And then at the same time, she was getting me, making sure that I was getting, even though RCIA is very nice, it's still not enough. I was getting spiritual direction from the priest, Mother Teresa's priest, going to her convent. We're learning St. Ignatius, spiritual exercises through her nuns. I mean, we had a great formation.
And now you're an oblate in the Order of St. Benedict,
I'm
right?
an oblate, yes, I'm oblate, St. Benedict oblate now, yes.
Now, what does that entail?
That entails understanding the, well, first of all, being an associate of a monastery, the Benedictine monastery, the Benedicts, and understanding the rule of St. Benedict, which is the rule of life. It's a great rule of formation that most societies have adopted throughout the world and history. I think the rule of St. Benedict's been adopted in many political charters. It's not just it's written for religious monks, but it had such a universal appeal throughout history since, hundreds of years, that it's been used many places, many companies, corporations, colleges. I mean, it's just very universal appeal. But for people that it's very good to be involved with Benedictines because of the spiritual warfare. For me, anyway, it's one of the best. The Benedictines understand spiritual warfare more than anybody else.
And I'd like to do our last segment on spiritual warfare. But for those, there are those who probably will not want it, who may not be disturbed by that discussion. So just to play it safe, can you, for those who do not want it, who might consider skipping that last part, can you both give me where you can be found on the web if people want to find out more? Maura, where can people find out more about you?
My website is spiritbattleforsouls.org. So souls is plural. They can get my books there, my CDs, tapes, DVDs in different languages. You can also go to spiritdaily.com.
And I presume your books are available on Amazon and so forth?
My books are available there at spiritdaily.org. And there's wonderful reviews, newsandfaith.com, different websites. I'm not sure about the websites in the different countries, that they're in different languages in different countries. I don't know all their websites.
Well, we're doing this in English, so
Yeah.
we'll presume that we're just worrying about the people
Okay,
in English. Now, Father, your thing is the roots of healing for abundant life. Is there a website for that?
Not yet. It's under construction.
Under construction, but when we find out what it is, I will put it on my website, which has been up and running for all these years.
Thank you.
Well, again, Moira Noonan, Father Roman. Can you pronounce your last name for me again? I still can't even think of trying it.
Fr Romain Rurangirwa.
Rurangirwa. Now you're from Rwanda, and you survived the Rwanda genocide. I should point out. And if you think that God doesn't, for those of you who think that God is inactive, and people, I've never understood this, why people think that God is inactive. The genocide killed millions, if I'm not mistaken. Yet not only did you survive, but you survive and you deliver hundreds because of this survival.
I was the only survivor of a big family. I had 8 siblings. And my parents were still young, 59 and 58. I had 17 nieces and nephews and tons of cousins and uncles. It's a big family. I was the only survivor of that family. And I became a priest 2 years after their death. I was ordained in a place where they were killed. It's a long story to see how this...
So that's a story I'm going to want to talk to you about a little bit later. But we're going to do one more segment on spiritual warfare. Again, this is the Tech Guy with Moira Noonan and Father Roman. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right.